Hey y'all, this is AB on AB, and we are not on a battlefield today, but we are at a cemetery. We are at the grave of William Billy the Kid Bonney. Came to the New Mexico territory in 1873, and you can read that there for yourselves. We're gonna go over here into the Fort Sumner Cemetery and check out his gravesite. So we're outside the Chamber of Commerce for Fort Sumner, New Mexico. First time in New Mexico. It's extremely hot here in June, but no different than it is home in Mississippi. It's a dry heat, they say. And it isn't quite so humid, but it is pretty warm here today. And so here is the cemetery here. And let's see, we got some other people buried here. Let's check this out. This is Joe Grant, supposedly killed by Billy the Kid. His tomb, his grave says that while drunk one night, Grant had the misfortune of getting on the wrong side of Billy the Kid at Beaver Smith's Saloon in Fort Sumner. After a heated discussion, Grant bet Billy 25 that he would kill a man first. Billy feigned false admiration for Grant's gun and asked to examine it. While doing so, Billy rotated the cylinder to an empty chamber, anticipating trouble. Billy and Grant eventually got into an argument, and as Billy turned to walk away, Grant tried to shoot Billy in the back, but all he heard was a click. Billy turned and drew, firing 3 shots, killing Grant instantly.
No bullets.
Interesting. Let's keep walking around this area and check this place out. Okay, so here you have Juanita Martinez Garrett. She is the first wife of Pat Garrett. Pat Garrett famously kills Billy the Kid, or allegedly kills Billy the Kid, depending on the story you believe.
Hold up, Daddy. Do you think Chavez is
I don't know, Beckham.
buried here because he died here?
You know how many times I've been here?
One.
Same amount as you. This is Lucien Bonaparte Maxwell, fur trader and trapper. He became the sole owner in 1864 of the largest single tract of land owned by any one individual in the U.S. He founded the First National Bank of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and invested $250,000 to help build the Texas Pacific Railroad. Dynamic, charitable, lavish, one of the greatest builders of the American West, died in quiet retirement in 1875 at Fort Sumner. Got a lot of kind of famous people buried in this small cemetery. Peter Maxwell, I'm guessing this might be his son, I don't know. Let's go see what this is over here. The Sandovals. Don't know anything about them. Not told anything about them. Victoria Sandoval. These look like all early people here that were here in Fort Sumner. The funny thing is, we're not really that close to town. We're several miles from town here. Let's see who. Yes, some video. Got some Bobian, Delavina Maxwell, loyal servant of the Maxwell family, was adopted. She was present on July 14th, 1881, the night William Bonney was killed by Sheriff Pat Garrett and his posse. Later in life, she was quoted as saying, "I hated those men, and I'm glad that I've lived long enough to see them all dead and buried." She died in 1927 and is buried in the old Santa Barbara Cemetery in Albuquerque in an unmarked grave. This marker is in remembrance of her contribution to the history of New Mexico and the legend of Billy the Kid. So she's not buried here.
Wait,
But
who?
she was here when Pat Garrett killed Billy the Kid.
Who, Bonnie?
William H. Bonney. That's another name for Billy the Kid.
That's his actual name, right?
Yep.
But he gets called
Jesus Silva, friend and pallbearer to Billy the Kid, gave an interview in 1937. It was the night of July 14th, 1881. The Kid had just ridden to town. He was hot and tired, and we drank beer together. He told me he was going to the home of Don Pedro Maxwell for a cut of fresh beef for his supper. In a few minutes, there were shots. I ran over to Maxwell's home, and the Kid was dead on the floor, face down. We moved the body to the old carpenter's shop. We laid the body on the carpenter's bench and placed candles around the corpse. He was buried in the old graveyard the next day. The plot thickens.
What does that mean?
He says that he was here, he saw the body of Billy the Kid. That guy right there that I just read you about. You don't believe that?
No, because it's a mystery of this.
And here we'll go over to the famous Kid himself.
But Dad, it's a mystery of this.
Outlaw in life, in jail and death. And there he is. Billy the Kid. Charlie Bowdry, and William H. Bonney. Right here you also have, for Billy, let's see what it says about him. It says Billy the Kid. His elusive tombstone was stolen in 1951. The location was a mystery for 26 years until 1976 when it was recovered in Granbury, Texas. The tombstone was stolen again in 1981 and recovered in Huntington Beach, California. Governor Bruce King arranged for Tobacco County Sheriff Big Jim McBride to fly to Los Angeles to retrieve the marker. They reset the tombstone in iron shackles at Billy's feet on May 30th, 1981. It was known by many names: William Henry McCarty, William H. Bonney, but he was best known as Billy the Kid. Born in New York City in 1859, he would find infamy in the Old West as a hired gun, outlaw, and otherwise stone-cold killer. His mother died in 1874 when he was 14, leaving Billy to spend the next year in foster homes. In 1875, he was caught stealing clothing from a Chinese laundry. McCarty fled town and began his career as a roving ranch hand, gambler, and gang member. Billy first earned his reputation as a gunslinger in 1878 when he participated in a bloody frontier war in Lincoln County, New Mexico. He joined a vigilante group called the Regulators and was charged with the murder of Lincoln County Sheriff William Brady. Pursued by Sheriff Pat Garrett, the Kid sought refuge with friends in Fort Sumner, New Mexico. On the night of July 14, 1881, Garrett went to the home of rancher Peter Maxwell to question him about Billy's whereabouts. No sooner had he woken Maxwell, the Kid also approached the house suspicious of one of Garrett's deputies on the porch. The Kid backed into the Maxwell's darkened room, shouting, "Who's that?" Recognizing the Kid's voice, Garrett drew his gun and fired off 2 rounds. One bullet struck the 21-year-old near his heart, killing him instantly. Don't really know that. This is Tom O'Folliard. He was the best friend of outlaw William Bonney. Both men were members of the Regulators during the Lincoln County War. O'Folliard was shot in the shoulder during the famous 5-day battle in Lincoln. After the war ended, they spent the next 2 years rustling cattle before forming the Bonney Gang with fellow outlaws Charlie Bowdry and Tom Pickett. He was shot in the chest by Sheriff Pat Garrett on December 19, 1880 at Fort Sumner, New Mexico, dying approximately 45 minutes later. Charlie Bowdry, unlucky friend of Billy the Kid. Born 1848, died 1880. Charlie Bowdry fought alongside Billy the Kid in the Lincoln County War. After losing the war, both he and the Kid retreated to Fort Sumner, New Mexico, where Bowdry worked as a cowboy and was also suspect in Billy's outlaw endeavors. In December 1880, the gang encountered Sheriff Pat Garrett. A gunfight ensued, and Garrett killed gang member Tom O'Folliard. An escape was made, and refuge was found in an abandoned farmhouse in Stinking Springs, New Mexico. It was there on December 23, 1880, during a shootout, that Bowdry was killed by a member of Garrett's 20-man posse. Later that day, Billy surrendered and was escorted to jail, unleashing a series of noteworthy events which would conclude with his death on July 14, 1881.
That's wrong.
Here's,
Pat Garrett's gang didn't kill him.
here lies Billy the Kid.
That one, the last one on the road.
Pretty cool. If you're ever out near Fort Sumner, New Mexico, stop in and check it out.